Welcome to Bottom Line Sports Talk. I'm George Abraham. You know my partner, Albert Campman. Albert, they call, I think the technical word is a fluid situation, and Poland certainly has that.
Yeah, so crazy these times, George. Twice Poland has had to halt their sports-related activities. The virus has hit them, and George, we know how much Poland loves their sports programs.
We always talk about it. One thing we know every year when we're doing our high school segment, Poland's going to be in there. And I think, I'll take it so far as to drive by the place, and it looks like somebody cares about athletics.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubter. They did their tracing. They did what they were supposed to do and found out, hey, they found the link. The link went to girls soccer involved also, and so they closed those down for a couple weeks too. And so we have football closed down. We have girls soccer, volleyball.
They came back, right?
Yes,
then on Wednesday they were shut down again.
It happened twice. It's happened twice. So this is going to be a runaway freight train throughout the season. Fluids and word George started.
Well, let me be the devil here. Mm-hmm. Let me be the devil here. Poland, we think socioeconomic upper middle. How about at some little school like where I went to or you went to? Could they afford to test in the first place?
No, there's no testing.
What are we going to do then?
Yes, well, what they're going to do is when somebody has any symptoms,
then
they'll test them then, and then
close down. That's what I was asking.
They won't test ahead of time.
Okay.
Yeah, they won't. They won't.
And then this is 2 weeks.
Even in Poland, they don't do that.
This is 2 weeks now, right?
Yes.
So 2 weeks, you're taking me up to pretty much what would have been game one.
Yep, getting closer and closer.
And now what has Ohio done?
Ohio has changed their schedule. 6 games played in football, everyone in the playoffs. So the changes that are happening, George, are daily. We've talked about this with all the coaches I talked to. You have to be ready to adapt and make the changes necessary. And one of the places that has already decided that is the Youngstown School District with Cheney and East. Their football programs are scheduled to start contact practice, close down, making those adjustments in football. Youngstown football has been getting better. Those two teams have been getting better, and now they got hit, and they'll be waiting to see what happens with the tests also. So we have Poland, we got the Youngstown City Schools, George. They're all having the trouble. Governor DeWine is saying that testing is continued, and worry about August is going to be a crazy month, George, for deciding what's going to go on in Ohio with the sports.
Well, DeWine basically said we just don't have the wherewithal to test high school kids.
No, they don't.
And Pennsylvania doesn't.
No one does. Costs a lot of money, George.
Yeah, we're not on Fight Island.
No. Costs a lot of money, and what George is talking about, these, 8,000 tests
Abu Dhabi
a day?
8,000 while they were there.
While they were there.
That's a lot of tests.
That's a lot of tests. You're not kidding. And they can pay for those. There's no massive testing going on in sports. So if somebody gets that symptoms, now they go get tested, they find out, closed down for 14 days. Man, that's it's gonna be really fluid time. And I'll say this: I have a rant that you fans watching, we know King football is in. George and I love it.
We've been on 29 years. We've called it the King from day one. I remember when we first did, someone called our radio and said, "What do you mean?" And we said, "No, buddy, you don't get it.
No, it's the King.
You know, this is proof."
Yeah, the King means that there's football players, there's band members, there's cheerleaders, there's flag teams, there's parents. The community shows closes down every Friday night is the night of nights in the town. That's the way it works. But I want to say, as an ex-coach, 2 ex-coaches here, when we got involved in sports, we didn't make decisions like that. We studied it. We want to make the right decision to give our team the best chance to win. Well, DeWine's doing that in Ohio. I know some of you don't like him. I'm just telling you.
Same with Wolf and PA.
Yeah. They're making the best decisions they can.
Let's say this. You and I being sports guys our whole life, coach, shows, whatever. like, we both hope that on
Definitely.
the Lions list,
Oh,
Cheney
yes.
versus so-and-so isn't the first thing.
Can't be.
It better be down here
It can't be.
after people starving to death, people dying on the street,
Yes.
people losing their jobs,
down the
hospitals.
line.
In other words, we hope Ohio State's in his thoughts, but we hope Ohio State, Michigan is at number one.
Yes. And that's the way they're judging things.
Right.
That's the way they're looking
Good
at
point.
things.
No, I get it.
But for you sitting watching this today, if you have a grandson playing or you have a granddaughter playing, your first thought is they better be playing football.
Absolutely.
They better have the cheerleaders
Not
there.
keeping me out of that stadium.
Yes. And so please look at it a different way. Please, somehow, look at it as people are trying to make the best decisions, and they have definitely studied it. It isn't like they just woke up one morning and said, we're not going to do this. The MAC, as we're sitting here, George, today.
Just as we went to production, and I mean within minutes.
Yes, it happened. Closed down football season completely. Now, do you think that ever, since I've been born, that the MAC would be saying, there's going to be no football?
Can I ask you something?
That's the king.
I just got hit in the head, though. Do you think it's possible, with the 21 big pay games they had going out way of the dinosaur?
Oh, that's it.
There's money.
That was
all-
the deciding. That was the deciding
Okay.
factor.
No,
No, the deciding factor was not the virus.
you think they lost
The
all the
deciding-
big money games?
Yes, they could not afford to have a football season.
Gotcha.
You know, that money that you talked about, Kent State going to Auburn, that paid for their whole athletic program,
Mm-hmm.
is not there this year. If they were going to have sports stores without fans and without the money revenue that the Power Five has, they go bankrupt. They'd be gone. They had to make that decision. There's no question. George, it's not going to be the first one, last one.
No, I think you're right.
No, I know.
think
I'm
you might
positive.
see a snowball here.
I'm positive. If you're not in a Power Five conference, you're going to see other conferences close down football because they cannot. They won't be able to afford it. And the MAC is Ohio. All these Ohio schools, the Bowling Greens, Ohio U's, right down the line. I feel bad because the people are looking, but they made this choice with thought. They didn't just wake up to this morning and say, let's do this. Let's just, we don't like football. Let's not play it.
And it's always involved.
Oh, yeah.
What do they always say when it's not about the money, it's about the money?
And I don't disagree with this one. Usually I do lose money.
Yeah.
But if you're ever going to have a program back up and running, they had to try to save something because they would go bankrupt.
Did you give these kids their year?
Man, that's going to be interesting.
You know, we were doing a radio show last
That's going to be
week.
interesting, George.
We were doing a radio show last week, and somebody came on and said about they were giving them their year back. My phone blew up. One of our buddies, it's an AD in the area, and always said, how about the 60 grand? Now, if they're on Scully, that's one thing. Division 3, there are no Scullies.
Yeah, they
They're
can't.
gonna hang
Division
around.
3, they can't.
Yeah.
They're not hanging around Division 3. No, Division 3 for sure. Now, when we're talking big time football like MAC, if they get that opportunity to have an extra year, unless they have a job in a law firm with, that's a great job offer,
I got
they'll
you.
probably stay back. They'll probably stay back and play. I'm thinking they probably will. And that'd be my thinking for sure.
You want to take a look at college football?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
We start anywhere but Ohio State since, I mean, you want to just start and just talk about how loaded they are.
Well,
I mean,
we know-
what do they know as art? What do we call them? Two of everything.
Yeah, and this week the two of everything got called out by Harbaugh in Michigan.
Mistake, Jim.
Yeah,
Mistake.
he called him out and said,
Yeah.
hey, the linebacker coach of Ohio State's doing some illegal stuff. And Coach Day said, worry about your own team.
Oh, my goodness.
Stop worrying about us, worry about your own team. But I got to give Day, I started laughing when his last line was, okay, you're going to worry about us? We're going to hang 100 on you. No, just stepping out and said, we're going to hang 100.
I have to tell you, I was sitting in that little booth when they got 60. I usually leave our radio show and go right to get my front row seat. And
Every year they say, what do they say?
this is you come in and
This is the year.
I feel good about it. I think we're home. I'm sitting in that little corner all by myself drinking my iced tea. I'm like,
The maize and blue going to get the scarlet and gray this
you have
year.
to show me. Well, I'm like from Missouri.
They're not even close, by the way. Yeah, one year it was. I got to get 1 year.
Yeah, the one we were that first time.
High scoring, yes.
Yeah.
But other than that,
no,
they've been runaways.
they're getting beat up.
Yes.
Now, if we fell asleep for, let's say, 10 years, we did the Rip Van Winkle thing. I closed my eyes. I said, okay, who's college football? Clemson? Alabama, Ohio State, in some order.
Yeah.
Would we be pretty close?
I'm sure. The one that's moved in there in our lifetime is Clemson. Clemson was
they're in there.
Like they're in there now
I
for
heard
good.
they got another quarterback from somewhere.
Oh, no. They're all good.
I heard that this guy is right there with... They're going to have the first pick.
Yeah. Clemson is really an SEC team.
Yeah.
They just happen to be in the ACC.
SEC facilities.
Yes.
Hey, you'll laugh at this one.
Everything.
SEC facilities. You'll get a kick out of it. I was on Twitter the other day, and this guy had a picture of his desk in Georgia. They were back to school. He had the little shield in front of everything, but the desk, Al, looked like it was something from To Sir With Love with Sidney Poitier, 1963. And I said to myself, do you think the Georgia football facility has anything that old in it?
They don't have anything more than a year old. That's what I said. There's nothing on.
I looked at that desk and I said, because I'll be doing ball games on the radio. They have a table at Grove City that Batman slammed Bruno Sammartino through in 1964. They still use it as a radio table. And I'm looking, I'm like, I finally saw something like older than my desk at Butler Hall. And I've been retired for 12 years and went there in 93.
Yeah, Georgia doesn't have one of those.
No, they don't have any in their weight room like that. If you don't think they have any pulleys or anything like.
When I went to Notre Dame, and that was two things stood out to me. When I walked in, and the weight room was 13 rooms wide and 15 rooms long. I said, "This is the biggest room I've ever seen." And Bob said to me, "We're about rated about the 25th weight room in the country." Mm-hmm. Now this was they had more weights in there than I could. And then I went into his office. His office was 7 rooms put into one, with a boardroom table, a
big screen,
gold everywhere. 3 big screens. And I'm thinking, they spend more money in this room than in my whole house. Than in my house, yeah. So those teams all have everything, but that's so important to recruits these days.
They said the Oregon thing is so fancy.
That's why they go there.
They need their key card to get in, and some of them, like, it's a little technical for the older coaches. Like, the older coaches have trouble getting in the building.
But a great point when you mentioned Oregon.
Yeah.
Why? When you read about how is Oregon the top 10 recruiting again? Right. That's how they get. When you get them, if they get a kid on campus,
he's coming
and get to see the facility that Oregon has.
Or LSU's like that. Now they have their own little pod where they can actually take a nap.
Oh yes, they all know those things.
Boy, overnight talking about LSU bad for Darius guys. They cut him. The Washington football cut him overnight. 3 cases of domestic violence, and they just said we're not.
That's domestic. You can't do that, guys.
No, but he shouldn't. I mean,
no, don't. What do you do that for?
You know you're going.
You know you're good. In today's world, George.
No,
you don't get a second chance.
Never was right, but
no, that's what I'm saying. You don't get no second chance.
All right, we got 3 teams. We're going to put them in with Ohio State, Clemson, and Alabama. Let's look around and just see what we have there. You said you think Cincinnati's overrated at 22.
Yeah, I'm talking about the college pool. They came out with the college pool this week. And first of all, the college pool was big this year because there's no interconference games.
Oh, hear that.
So I don't want to pass that up.
Hear that.
It was all conference games. Before, you should be able to take, let's see, Southern Cal plays Alabama. Wow, Southern Cal really looked good against Alabama.
Oh, man, Boise would end up beating Oregon.
Yeah.
Okay, old Pac-12.
Now you're in your league.
Exactly.
And so So now, where you start and you run the table, there's a good chance you'll be there with the committee. Cincinnati, a local team in Ohio, 22. They're not in the top 40. That last year, the best wins were over UCLA and Boston College.
You say sounds good till you see that scrap they're putting out there, 4-8.
They really have been bad for the last 5 or 6 years. It's not like it isn't like they have been good.
No,
they haven't.
That's a good point.
And so Cincinnati is a team that I think is really overrated. I root for them. Fickle has done a tremendous job there.
Oh yeah, his recruiting class was much higher. I think it was high 20s, low 30, which you think for Ohio State you'd be jumping out the window.
Right.
For Cincinnati, that's a good recruiting
exciting class. Yeah, but I still think they're rated too highly by who they beat. The underrated on the coaches poll, and usually George and I, who are both from Pennsylvania, really light Pitt up. We're both all over Caples and Narduzzi. This year, not this year. Pitt is really, really good on the defensive line. Tremendous, one of the top 7 in the country. Offensive line, very good. Pickett going to get drafted in the first 4 rounds in the pros. The only weakness I think they may have is at wide receiver.
What's with wide receiver? I mean, they had Fitz.
I think because they don't throw the ball enough. That's my thing, George.
Here's something to think about.
I think if you're gonna recruit wide receivers, you can't be taking your quarterback out
in the goal line
ever. You shouldn't take your quarterback out of the game ever.
We have a buddy who's an NFL agent, and he's interested in Kenny Pickett. And there are others. Lee Steinberg was in. When Lee Steinberg comes in, the kid's got to.
Yeah, that tells you right there.
Yeah, you don't have to do anything.
All these agents are coming after Kenny Pickett. They don't show up for no reason.
No,
they know how good he is. There's another team in the ACC that's really good, Virginia Tech, who's coming back with a tremendous defense and a dynamic quarterback in Hendon Hooker. If you watched the bowl game last year against Kentucky, you saw how Virginia Tech really came on late last year, tremendously, just kept winning games.
Hey, didn't they go to the end with Notre Dame out?
Oh, yes.
Didn't they?
Should have won.
Yeah.
Should have won that game. Yes, they should have. And so Virginia Tech's another team that is ranked too low in the polls. And the third one is Kentucky. Kentucky, led by a local player. Yep, Coach Stoops, Mark Stoops.
Yeah.
Yep, no question about
Well, he's done a good job there. The basketball was the king, and football was just an oversight forever, and he's made it matter.
Oh, no. Yeah, Kentucky is the one school in the country that basketball is past anything. But if you watch Kentucky's show that I watched their last 2 weeks, their traveling party for Kentucky football games now is catching up with the basketball game.
Okay.
They're traveling. Their fans are all in. This is a better team than some of the ones that are mentioned. So our 3 underrated teams are Pitt, Virginia Tech, and Kentucky.
Now, there's a team that all of a sudden showed up to the party. See, I wouldn't have let them in the party. I'd have locked the door. I said, no, you didn't want us.
You never locked on this team.
Now, all of a sudden, Southern Cal, Stanford, and Navy won't play you. Oh, you want to come into our dance? Sorry, but no. The magic door open because it means eyeballs on the screen.
No one's shutting Notre Dame out. No. Not in football.
Right.
And as long as we're live sitting on this show,
you're right.
Notre Dame is going to have an advantage. That's the alumni. That's who they are. That's where they are. And the ACC says, come on in. Play an ACC schedule. They're doing that. And one of the big games on our alignment this year watching is November 7th. Clemson goes to Notre Dame, George.
Have they taken better teams
than
Clemson out of home?
Yes, they have.
A little bit first week in November.
George and I will have the Irish in that game.
Whatever they get, whatever.
I'm telling you right now, they'll be getting points at home.
Yeah, we got a quarterback's been there 20 years.
Yeah, and they'll be fired up for this one. This will be taken a little more serious at South Bend. But that ACC is really good this year. They're not the SEC, no, Big Ten.
Last year they were just as bad. One team was ranked, and Syracuse laid the most gigantic egg. Maryland put the speed limit
right off the bat. Right off the bat, we knew right away they weren't any good.
No, we have a Syracuse coach on every year on our radio show, and he didn't expect that. I don't believe.
I gotta give him credit. He's an optimist.
Yeah.
If you talk to him, it sounds like they're going to be Clemson every year.
Absolutely. But that's what you have.
You have to be that way, though. You're right.
Pull it off that one Friday.
You have to do it. Yeah, that was a great win. That was a great one. That was a fun game to watch.
But no, you're right. Now, this year, all of a sudden, we have 5-6 teams that could be in the top 20. Don't sleep on Mac.
Yeah, I really like North Carolina.
You love the quarterback.
Yeah.
You love the quarterback.
He's my favorite quarterback in the country. And he's a pro.
Hey, I have a buddy.
He's a pro.
I have a buddy that bet him for the Heisman at ridiculous odds.
He's a pro.
He's hoping that the guy for Clemson doesn't play, goes into that's what he's thinking. I mean, that's what he's hoping. Put it down.
What he has to hope for is that the season's moved to the spring.
Right. No, exactly.
Because if the season moved to the spring, all the big time quarterbacks will be out.
They'll all be gone.
They'll all be gone. Talking about conferences, the SEC and the Big Ten, please stop comparing yourself with those two.
Don't do that.
You can't.
25% of the pros are from the SEC. When you add the Big Ten, it's 40%.
And that's how you know.
Yeah, the NFL.
Understand the NFL draft, when you hear in the first round from LSU, first round from Ohio State, first round from LSU, first round from Ohio State, then you go down Alabama, Auburn. those teams, Florida, Georgia.
Yeah.
Then you add Wisconsin, and Michigan, and Penn State was going to be really good this year. By the way, that hurt Penn State. Micah Parsons not playing.
I saw that the other day, and I thought,
would have been
losing Lawrence Taylor.
He would have been defensive player. He would have been defensive player of the year in the Big Ten.
Now, how many ranked teams do we have in the SEC? LSU, Georgia, Alabama, Florida,
we can name
Auburn,
them,
A&M.
We can name them.
6?
They're always there.
Tell you who's under a little bit of heat this year, Jimbo Fisher.
Is he?
I think 7 and 5 isn't what 70 million buys.
Yeah, and that's why he has to be under. I think he left Florida State in shambles. By the way, first of all, he ran out.
Say that
he ran out of there.
Yeah,
and now he goes to A&M, and they think he's going to be a miracle worker. 7 and 5. George, I think Ohio State and A&M, they still have the 2 biggest budgets in the country.
I have to tell you, the quarterback, Mon, he could shut up a little bit.
Does talk too much.
See, I don't,
talks too much.
I remember when a couple of the Pirates ran their mouth, and I said, why don't you guys wait?
Win some games first.
And then when you do it, tell us how you did it. Like, I'd listen. Like Muhammad Ali. Okay, he tell you how he did it. I'm going to knock this dude out in 5.
After it already
and he did it, or he did it enough time. I'm like, you know what? This is Conor McGregor. It's entertaining.
Yeah, Mon,
you got to do
7 and 5 ain't getting it done.
No.
7 and 5 is not going to brag. It's not bragging rights in A&M.
And in that league, could he do better? Absolutely.
But it's hard. It's hard. But how much isn't he getting paid $70 million? $7 million.
$70 million.
I mean, hey,
Jimbo.
You're paid that much, you're supposed to win a lot more games.
I think Mrs. Jimbo benefited the most. They were getting that.
She got divorced, didn't he?
Right when he got that corner.
I think she said, "Listen, how
her
much
and
you
Mrs.
getting?
Tiger, I think.
How much?
Yeah.
Orgeron, he got it too. Yes.
Got it too.
Big Ten has their share of respect also, though, George.
No, absolutely.
Ohio State, Penn State, Wisconsin, Michigan, Minnesota, Iowa, all in the top 25.
Boy, in Minnesota, he's rowing that boat. I was a little skeptical, I'll admit it.
So was I.
And then when he took out Auburn in that bowl game, he got my full attention.
Yeah, they lost.
I watched him beat Penn State that day. It was no
Oh,
food.
yes. They run the ball. He gets offensive linemen.
Mm-hmm.
He watched Wisconsin in action. Wisconsin's won every year because they get that recipe of offensive line.
He does.
Minnesota does it. Minnesota's doing it also. He lost Bateman, though. So Penn State lost Parsons. Minnesota lost the best receiver in the Big Ten, Bateman. Both of them are first rounders. They declared out for the season. That's a big loss for Minnesota, no question. If you remember last year, we said Minnesota were really good.
Yeah, we were on it. I don't know that I thought they'd beat Auburn.
No.
But I'll tell you what, I've watched.
I did have them, though.
I've watched him go to a bowl game too many times.
I have him in a bowl game.
The coach at Auburn, have you seen him?
Oh, yes.
Laying egg on the ball?
Yeah, no question about it.
What do they just lose their?
You can't throw the ball.
Okay.
You got to be able to throw the ball a little bit. So
that's why I'm skeptical. This guy at the Patriots are talking about can Cam Newton beat him out, and I'm like,
Newton's quarterback. They signed Newton the quarterback. He's quarterback.
You don't think
he's quarterback.
So.
Newton's playing quarterback there.
That's what I want.
No question about that.
No. Hey, real quick, we'll mention the Penguins took a dive. They took the Nestea plunge. You've noticed something as far as criticism for Sullivan or lack of.
Yeah, we live in this area, and it's the same thing in Ohio with coaches. You know who the media falls in love with, and they're afraid to write something bad about them. They're afraid to hurt their feelings because they know they're coming on the show the following week. Well, somehow, some way, Tomlin gets destroyed at the Steelers. Hurdle got destroyed with the Pirates. Narduzzi with Pitt, and now Penguins get knocked out. And Sullivan gets a free ride. That's not right. Either you get them all, or you get none of them. But don't pick and choose who you're going to get.
Why do you think that is? There's I tell you that at a national level, Matt Ryan gets way too much and very little blame. I mean, when you blow a 3-touchdown lead in the Super Bowl, I have to call you out.
Nobody writes about Matty Ice.
I have to call him out on that, and I really.
They haven't rated as elite. He's not elite.
Just real good.
He's just a good quarterback. He's not elite.
Roethlisberger's a better quarterback.
Yeah, he's not elite. No, there's no question about it.
And by the way, Roethlisberger, I didn't see any belly the other day. I think he went vegan or something.
He had some time to get in shape a little bit. Yeah, I think they did.
I'm going to tell you, these guys.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, you can't say it's a bad
idea. Because he's 38 now?
Yeah. Let's take 3-4 minutes on the NBA. It's not big in this area. Never has been. We don't have any. I was gonna say we don't have any teams called the Cavs. I guess there's a team, but it's in disarray. But
the Cavs are a local team that was great when LeBron was there, but right now they're also run completely.
Let me ask you, this NBA. I think the Final Four is going to be ridiculous. I just think both sides have
good teams.
4 good teams. It's the Final 8, but it's
right.
4 in their class. But I'll tell you who hasn't gone away that really surprised me, Toronto.
Yeah, George turned me on to Toronto when he called me one night and said, hey, there's a team that's really coached. And Coach Nurse said, he said, watch Toronto's staff. Watch how they do things.
Okay.
And they're really coached defensively. So in the playoffs, one reason why George watches more than I do, but I watch the NBA in the playoffs a lot because the defense goes up. Every shot is contested, like every possession is contested. The scores in the bubble right now are flying high. You watch them go down in the playoffs when people are really guarding. Toronto has all the measurable statistics defensively. They beat the Lakers. They have all the things going.
Hey, they've beaten the Lakers 11 straight. So you people are just picking the Lakers automatically. I think you're assuming Milwaukee beats Toronto. I'd be careful.
Yeah, that's the truth because Toronto's not afraid by anybody. Van Fleet is up this level to
He's up 7 points a game. You don't see that in the pros.
No, his confidence level sky high. They're going to him a lot. They know they still have Lowry out there at guard, who's been a league fixture at All-Star on the All-Star team forever. They lost Danny Green, so they thought might lost the shoot. Too much of a shooting. But Powell's come in and shot the ball tremendously. Siakam is one of the best players in the league.
Yeah, he's underrated, I would say.
Yeah, yes, no question. So Toronto's our team. It's a surprise in the NBA playoffs. That's the team we're picking to. Everybody's picking Milwaukee, George.
Yeah.
Everybody's picking the Clippers and Lakers.
Yeah.
Now those 3 teams are big picking. So we're going out on a limb. We'll say, watch for Toronto on our watch.
And I'll give you one sleeper in the other half. If the stinking Trailblazers get in and they look like they're playing heads up fire basketball. Mm-hmm. Man, you don't want. I know one thing: the Lakers can't guard Lillard.
No, nobody can guard Lillard.
So therefore, there's a shot.
And they're healthy now. Carmelo's playing good basketball for them too.
He took some weight off.
Yeah, I think he finally said, "I like to win the championship."
Yeah,
that might be wise. But then Portland's out to sneak in though because Memphis still has the spot. Memphis had a big win yesterday. If you get in, you have a chance. Right now, that's what they're trying to do.
You heard it here on Bottom Line Sports. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next week.